Eli Campbell here. One thing that makes Steamboat special is how many awe-inspiring people call our valley home. You could find yourself in line at the coffee shop next to an Olympian, or sitting on the gondola next to the founder of a world-renowned business. Our community produces and attracts the best of the best in their respective fields, but most are so humble about it you would never know. These extraordinary people are the common folk in the boat. Welcome to Common Folk in the Boat. Eli Campbell here with you. What? We're just two happy guys, I guess, huh?
I feel like we've had the first 10 seconds of this conversation already before you hit record.
Maybe we didn't hit record.
This feels very familiar.
Yeah. We are professionals at this podcasting thing. You know what? We're 25, 26 episodes in now, I think.
Has it been that many?
Somewhere around there,
Man, it's flying. I guess it's been close to a year.
It's been over a year since we started.
Damn.
We try to release one every couple weeks. It's hit or miss. It's been a while. Went through some family health issues on my end, so we haven't been able to get one out. But it's we're happy to be back. And
heck yeah,
man, tell you what, season is changing. It's beautiful outside.
I love it. I got to be honest. I mean, I know it's scary for what it means for the summer and the snowpack and the watershed, but right now, I mean, when do you get 50-degree days in March? And snow on my driveway is gone. Like, I don't know, that kind of stuff. And I can be riding my bike. Like, I can get some days in where I ski in the morning and ride in the afternoon. That doesn't happen in many places that I know of. So
you can legitimately do 2 sport days here very easily right now.
Go play hockey at night. There's the third sport.
Yeah.
I'm like a triathlete, Eli. I don't know if it's the same as what most people put on their bumper sticker, but
we should work that into the Olympics. The ski bike. Hockey. Ski bike skate.
Yeah. Now that I've said it out loud, it sounds a little weird.
Yeah. Well, we can figure that one out. Other than the weather, other than the change of seasons, what's Billo high on right now?
Oh, man. I mean, a lot has to do with the weather and people just being generally happy and just the change of seasons is always good. It's not a huge holiday for Steamboat, and I'll tell you why, but I guess if you're in the cannabis industry, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention we're coming up on a holiday of ours.
Yeah, one that I know is huge when I was in Boulder. There was a whole fair and field back in the day.
Oh, man. So there's always, I mean, we're getting hit up already with brands and wanting to do promos for 420, right? April. So, but what I say is like in Steamboat, it's a non-issue because that's also the beginning of spring break.
Yeah.
So the mountains close, spring break starts, like it's actually kind of crickets around the store, but we'll still do something. 420 is always fun to do something.
Quick funny story about that. When I was, and you went to Boulder, so it may have been the same, but when I was at school, Fair and Field was the field that everybody would meet at 420. The police would just kind of circle the outside of the field just to make sure nothing would happen, basically. And there was a guy that was in my business classes that always kind of seemed a little bit more straight and narrow. And I went to the field and I saw him there immediately. And I thought, it seems strange. It doesn't seem like the type of place he would be. He was pulling around a cooler of water and like bags of chips and selling them for like a couple dollars each. Yeah, he was an entrepreneur. Like he looked at the opportunity. The rest of us were like 420, and he looked at us like
money.
This could, this is what I'm learning about in my business school.
Oh my gosh, I was in high school growing up in Michigan near Ann Arbor, University of Michigan, and it was my first experience. I didn't smoke or do any of that actually in high school, honestly. But we went to what they called the Hash Bash. The Hash Bash was essentially the same thing. One day a year, they would always meet on like the quad of the college campus. And I went with friends just to spectate because it was this interesting dichotomy where there's cops everywhere, but they're not doing anything intentionally. They're there to make sure there are no problems.
Yep.
But people are blazing up. They are doing whatever on the quad, and it was a big celebration for cannabis, and yet it was the coolest event because there never were problems. And the fact the police were there, it was like a day off practically for them. They probably got time and a half for nothing. Yeah. And it was a cool impression as a young person. Again, I wasn't into the products back then, but now it's how far we've come. It's really cool.
Yeah. Well, it's cool to see how far we've come. If you're around during spring break, which most of us are not, let's be honest. But if you're around, head over to Billo and certainly partake.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm excited about our episode today. We've been using this space here, whether it's this office or downstairs at Dusky Grouse, for a long time. Ever since I started this project, Steph here at Dusky was one of the biggest supporters I've had. She kind of said, hey, Eli, do whatever you need. Take over the space. Use what you need. Broadcast when you want to broadcast. Let's come together and figure out a way to bring more awareness and maybe raise some money for community events and things like that. But she's always kind of forefront as far as giving back to the community as well. So I'm really excited for the opportunity to talk to Steph Traylor today, owner of Dusky Grouse, and I guess my landlord, even though she doesn't charge me rent.
Your coffee supplier,
yeah.
your dealer for another,
Yeah, my dealer for my real vice, which is caffeine.
It doesn't hurt to know the coffee people.
Yeah, for sure. So we will be right back with Steph Traylor from Dusky Grouse right after this. Welcome back to Common Folk in the Boat. Eli Campbell here with you. We are joined by Steph Traylor, owner of Dusky Grouse. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I feel awkward being on this side of the table from you because this is kind of like...
That's my desk.
Yeah, it's
You're
your desk. It's your
I
office.
I feel great. I feel like I have like no responsibility here.
Yeah.
So
I feel like I've been called down in the principal's office. What do you mean?
there's a little bit of that too. Yeah, I feel that too.
Sit down.
Yeah.
We're going to talk.
Well, you've been so gracious to me and to what we're trying to do here with Steamboat Locals Media. You've given us the space. We do a lot of our Common Folk in the Boat podcasts out of whether it's this office or downstairs. And it's one of the reasons we wanted to bring you on, just your support of everything that goes on in this community, all the positive impacts that you've made. But I wanted to start where we start with most people is kind of their journey to even get to Steamboat. What brought you here and how did you kind of first fall in love with the area?
It's such a big question. I'm sure everybody answers like that.
Most people say they broke down on the pass and then they just got stuck here.
It's kind of similar. Like I did not know anything about Steamboat when I moved here. This was 15 years ago, I believe. Yeah, 2010. And I moved here with my husband, boyfriend at the time, to open up a ski franchise. So we had a friend that started Ski Butlers in Park City, Utah, watched him kind of grow it, and jumped on board to open up Steamboat without even being here. It was a pretty cool opportunity. We were in the ski industry together for years leading up to it. The delivery thing seemed really cool. And then just to kind of be your own kind of entrepreneur, but with also having a franchise safety. So somebody else made the mistakes first. In theory, I mean, we made a lot of mistakes. We had that business for about 10 years, and then we sold it just before COVID, and then Dusky.
It's a good time to sell a business in the
I know.
ski
I saw that
industry.
coming. I was like, this is not going to work. I did not see that coming. It happened in 2019. So yeah, I got lucky kind of, but the end of a business is always kind of sad.
Well, and for you, I know that you came from the Pacific Northwest. You actually have similar history a little bit with Dave and I, where we both have radio backgrounds. You were an intern at a radio station.
Yeah.
And so was that kind of the path that you wanted to go down, or did you always see yourself kind of getting more into the ski industry, the coffee shop industry?
You know, it's funny. I've always been kind of a jack of all trades. Like I kind of follow the next shiny thing that seems cool and interesting in my life. And I've had a lot of different little mini career paths. And coffee was one of my first avenues that I went down when I was 16 or 17. I worked for Starbucks in Seattle. And then
Do
with
they have
that,
one there? Do they have a Starbucks
they
in
may
Seattle?
have a couple.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. They're just off the beaten path, you know.
Hard to find.
Nobody ever goes there. So that's kind of where the coffee part came, but I never even loved it. Like I had a great time. I loved the people. I loved the community. You know, back when Starbucks actually started, they had a huge emphasis on philanthropy, and they actually paid all their employees to give back. That was just part of their deal, and which I really liked. And I've carried that through all my businesses and everything I've done. But then also in there, I did intern very briefly for KEXP Radio in Seattle, and I lived in downtown Seattle, and I worked at a venue, a concert venue too. Didn't get paid anything, but I got to go to I think I went to something like 6 to 8 shows a week, 2 in a day. That was my life. Yeah.
What was the radio format that you were working for?
So it was the early morning show, and I was the DJ assistant. So this was an evolving kind of position when I first started. It was basically get there before the DJ got there. He'd have like a list of all the CDs and records. We actually had records too. So I'd have to go find everything that was archived. And then throughout the show, I would be there updating the playlist. So if he'd play a certain song, then I'd have to go online. This is back in like 2004, and figure out what that band is doing, what side projects they're doing, where they're from, any kind of cool little tidbits, which was so fun. And I still, like when I did DJ for you, I had my own little show for a little bit with you guys, and I did the same thing, and it's fun, like to learn more about kind of bands.
DJ assistants. I don't remember
DJ
ever having that.
Oh, would you like one?
What a luxury. Someone that would actually pull your music for you and do all your show notes.
Oh, and like make coffee and get yelled at. Wow. Like it was grunt work, but it was fun.
I don't remember Diamond Dave Witt ever having a DJ assistant.
No, I probably would have started at that job, actually. It's probably good they didn't have those, because then I could jump right into the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, but so, I mean, obviously Seattle, known for coffee, but known for great music as well. What was kind of your musical influence back then as you were growing up, as you were watching 6 to 8 concerts a week?
I know. They were all over the place, like tiny shows and then huge shows. I'd probably say my brother I had an older brother, and he definitely influenced my taste in music. He would just give me CDs at a time and say, listen to this, listen to this. And of course, KEXP too. I've been listening to them since the 90s. So between those two, and just being, like, I lived in the heart of Seattle, and so that was just a good way to spend my time. Like, I was into, I wouldn't say I was a groupie with any band per se, but I loved the behind the scenes. Like, my job at the concert venue that I worked at was to take care of the green room. So I got a lot of really cool interactions with musicians that not everybody even knows who they are, you know, like these are up and coming, like the Lumineers, like back in the day. Like these were just, and I could tell these opportunities, and it just makes you feel special, and like just that if you're able to listen to something and know that it's going to be something bigger before it is, I'm sure you've had this feeling, and it just is so exciting to be a part of a story like that, even if it's not really shared. Like I just, for me personally, I just like to hold on to those things.
Yeah, and being in the radio industry, we've had those opportunities where you have bands that come through and are just like, hey, I want to play a show, just give me a venue. And sometimes they work out and you can tell the story 20 years from now, and sometimes it doesn't. I still have somewhere in my files the very first time that Dave Matthews came through Steamboat and played at the old KFMU studio back in the day. And so it's fun to see those. Now, as a green room manager,
I just cleaned it up and set it up.
Did you ever have any of those, like, we want a bowl of M&Ms but no greens, or any of those really?
No, I didn't. I hear those stories. You read about them. No, I feel like everybody that I worked with was so accommodating. I mean, messy. And lots of like they wanted drugs. There was always like drug requests, and how old was I at the time? I was 21 or 22. I was young. So I would like call people and try to like help, but I'm like, I don't know where to get weed. Like,
we don't have that problem anymore, do we?
Yeah. I mean, I was just backstage. I was backstage at Winter Wondergrass, and I saw the Billo bowl right there. So
the goodie bowl, the goodie basket.
Yeah, had that figured out.
I can only imagine though. I will just, sorry, off topic, but I know there's Andy Frasco is known for playing Steamboat. He's played a few shows, and I think he puts in his rider random things like that, and he doesn't necessarily expect them to happen, but I've heard he does it because he just like says, does anyone, kind of in his head, I'm guessing, does anyone even read this stuff? And when he came to Steamboat last,
mess with people too, probably.
He had requested in the green room like a I don't know what you would call it, a pack of puppies, and just to pet and play with. And Snowball apparently was the only one that the only venue that's ever actually delivered on that. And they've got that great connection with the Routt County. Well, they have the Routt County Humane Society. They're really big on that, and so
I could make that happen.
It just totally worked out. So Frasco was like, oh my gosh, like somebody actually delivered me a pack of puppies.
Late on stage because he's just rolling.
I mean, yeah, whatever you know, just to relax with some puppy love.
Whatever you need to do.
I just thought that was a cool story, unrelated, but you know, it ties in with the whole rider thing of those contracts. Yeah, totally.
Well, of course, you've brought that love for music as well as coffee into this location here at Dusky Grouse, where it's mostly a coffee shop, but part record shop as well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have offered for different musicians who reach out to me to say, hey, you need to go in and check this place out. And they all think this is such a cool idea to bring those two things together, because really what radio has done in the past is brought a community together, and the community gathering place is the coffee shop. So talk a little bit about kind of how you've been able to bring the two of your passions into one cohesive spot.
Yeah, it kind of came about organically. I did not really open a community space. I wasn't intending that. And even the records was actually an afterthought too. Like I did, when we first opened, we did have records, but I didn't really plug that in until like a couple months before we opened. I was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool? So I did it. But I think it's a natural pairing or trifecta, like community coffee and music. It brings people together. There's a lot to connect over. And it just has the beauty of how it's happened at Dusky is in the community itself. I feel like Steamboat has kind of lacked a space like this. Not to say that coffee shops in general do naturally have like community gatherings and meetings, but maybe it's like the way it's set up with our conference room and our little offices and kind of like little spaces and nooks where you can have private conversations and gatherings that are open. And I think music just plugs in so beautifully too. These are my passions too. Like I love music and I love coffee and I love community. So it's also just those things that you care about. Like they're gonna come together if you put your energy into it. And if you go to, I will say that the KEXP listening studio, they have a new community space. They opened probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it's very similar to here. Not to say I stole from them, but I was definitely inspired by them. They have a pop-up record store now. There's a coffee shop, and they have their live recordings too and music. So,
well, what you do with this space is it's more than just a meeting space. You know, like you said, you're very open and welcome to anybody. I've been in here late at night working, and there's the musician next door who's running his music classes, or the Death Cafe has access, or, you know, crafts or whatever it is. You're a space that opens access to just about anybody who wants to have a space, which is one of the reasons I thought that you'd be perfect to talk to on this podcast, because it's more than just being a coffee shop and a meeting space for you. You actively are working to brighten up the community, and you've done that too with the idea of, we had the opportunity to talk to Glen on one of our other podcasts, Elevating Steamboat, about Yampa Valley Gives Day, which was something that you and him brought here together, and just bringing kind of the effort of giving back to the community, or its little givers or whatever. Talk about how much it is for you, how important it is for you to be able to just give back without really necessarily receiving anything in return other than just to give back.
Yeah, no, I do receive a lot from what I give. And that just comes in mental health and peace of mind and happiness. And that is probably the underlying like message that I try to teach my kids, that I try to set an example for my staff. I don't want to say I teach my staff, but I do hope that they see and understand that when you do offer space, kindness, love, I hate to be all, but seriously, you put love out there, you're gonna get it back. And I do believe at the end of the day, like Dusky has become very successful. Like I wouldn't be able to do this if I was just constantly giving away things. So it does come around. But the acts of service, that fills my cup. That makes me so happy to see other people happy. And I think everybody can relate to that. Some people may not understand it, which is kind of the point of Steamboat Little Givers, is to expose this to kids at a really young age, where they understand the act of giving and service without any expectation of results. There are some Steamboat Little Givers projects where it's just my kids. we're just baking cookies for dogs or whatever. And we deliver the cookies, and whether or not it's 100 cookies or 24 that don't even look like dog bones or whatever, that act of actually giving, and that you're helping little dogs, it just lights you up, makes you feel good. So yeah.
Yeah. And for me, just recently, my son was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and you were connected to another family whose son was in the hospital as well.
That was a rough week.
And rough week in the hospital. It was a great time to catch up with people I hadn't caught up with for a while, but
get to know your local nurses.
Yeah, not the way I would have liked to. But as soon as we got out of the hospital, you sent a message that said, hey, I want to do something to support the hospital staff, and here's my idea. Do you guys want to help out? And it's more than just I think having a donation box or things at the store. You're actively seeking out those opportunities. When the hurricanes hit in North Carolina, you and I collaborated on those sorts of things. I feel like not everybody has like as active. It's people are giving, and they're certainly a lot of people that care around here. But you're so active in what it is to bring back to the community. What do you think it is about this community though that makes you want to do that so much?
It's easy. I feel like anybody, any business, successful business. Or any business too, even growing smaller businesses can write a check to things that they care about. But for me personally, as an owner, to be in it, like I write checks too, but to actually be in it and understand the impacts that you're having, that's the beauty of Steamboat, because it is a small community. A little goes a long way. I've talked to you about this. Sit on boards. If you want to be empowered in this community, find something you care about, sit on a board, and you will make a difference immediately. If you want to see a needle change in any direction, whatever it is, I feel like Steamboat is one of the best opportunities to see change. I feel so lucky to not be in a big city where you sit on a board. And first of all, to get on a board is probably really ridiculously hard, and the time commitment is insane. Here, there's so many small boards that are eager to hear different perspectives, especially young people. I started sitting on boards when I first got into town. And granted, I had a seasonal business, so I had the opportunity during summer to like give a little bit more. But people like these organizations that mean a lot to young people, a lot of them are run by retired humans that have the time, which tend to be, and the money, which tend to be a lot like older demographic, and sometimes they're not necessarily well represented by who they serve. So if I can just put that out there, like, again, it comes down to like a little bit of effort goes a long way. Like these are board meetings that sometimes they only meet quarterly. But if you want to make a difference and feel it and feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
it's
love
easy to complain about things that are wrong in the world.
Yeah.
We all do it.
There's a lot that I think weighs on us heavily in the world today, but I think you and I have talked about it before. What fills your cup personally, and then really kind of tuning into that is really going to make what the world is going on around you seem a little bit easier to handle, and you do that as good as anybody.
Yeah, localizing it. Like it's really easy to get the doomsday whatever scrolling. I'm really struggling with it right now, but we were starting our mental health book club again, starting in May. We have DJ nights coming up here soon. Like we're doing things to, I don't want to say distract. Bring people together and just work, or what I mean, like just talk about things in a more healthy way. Yeah, because we're going to keep talking about it, but to sit behind your phone and just like panic, it doesn't help.
Yeah, and I think so many people feel like they can complain, but there's not much that they can do. And I think around here, you have enough people that you can collaborate with. You can do something. You can make a little difference, which goes a long way. I want to get back to the music side of things, though.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, because I loved, you used to do a program with us, and maybe we'll bring it back someday. You're a busy person, but you're in tune with independent music, with up and coming music. I want to know who you're listening to right now. What is something that is really kind of filling your musical cup.
Yeah, no, I've been listening to a lot of Roberta Fleck recently. She just passed away, and so I've been going down that rabbit hole of just kind of soul R&B. Donny Hathaway. I've also been listening to a lot of like house music and jungle, a lot of like Flaming Lips too. Like I've been going back into like the 90s recently, and it's been so fun. We've been having some great conversations with some local DJs here. And I may or may not be investing in some great new speakers and turntables. We have our first DJ brunch event coming up on the 13th. And I am leaving it up to them to play whatever they want, but I'm hoping for some like lo-fi, like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But coffee shops are a great platform to experiment with music. I have with my staff here, they can play whatever they want to a certain extent. We had Metal Mondays for a hot minute. Yes. One of my girls, Haley, loves metal, and that didn't last very long. It was a little too aggressive, but so within reason. But it is a great way of expression, and it changes. You know, some days I listen to old school stuff. Some days I listen to new things.
A couple of things just to inject there is, well, first of all, at the store, at the dispensary, that it's Eli and I talk about this a bunch, like kind of do the same thing. Whoever's working that day can kind of choose what they want. And it's always, I find it interesting. It's not always my taste, but it is eclectic in the sense that depending on the day and who's working, some days it's that EDM like rhythm, and other days it's bluegrass, you know, and you're like, oh, you know, I know who's working today based on what's playing.
Yeah, or how they're feeling. I mean, there was one point last year, I think I had 3 people going through divorces on my staff, and every time I'd walk in here, there'd be like Taylor Swift, Joni Mitchell, seriously.
Moody Mondays.
Yeah, and there's a couple times I'm like, I had to make a rule, and there's no Taylor Swift allowed when I'm here. Like nothing against Taylor Swift to other people, but I just I have to take care of my own mental health.
Sure.
Well, one of my favorite stories as far as music and you is the most fangirl I think I've ever seen you become was when Devotchka ended up showing up in the coffee shop. Mm-hmm. You kind of like...
I lost my mind.
You screamed out with joy a little bit and like,
I just screamed. I think I scared, I can't remember his name, the main singer. He like came in briefly. I tried to talk to him and he was like, cool, thanks. And then he sat outside and like smoked a cigarette. But the rest of the band members and their manager too, like they stuck around, gave me a great compliment about the records that I offer, which just like sent me to the moon.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Well, I'm hoping to be able to bring some more musicians in here as well. We've done a couple great interviews down there with a few bands, and it's been a lot of fun to have them just kind of play acoustically, and hopefully we'll have that opportunity. As you see this place grow, I mean, you've gone from the coffee shop in the front now to expanding in the garage and having that space back there. What are your future ambitions beyond just DJ brunches for Dusky Grouse?
Yeah, I don't really know. It changes daily. I get lots of ideas, and I get pitched a lot of ideas too. I love what we're doing here with you, having your little recording studio up here. So I hope to see some growth with that. I know things change too. If you don't want to be here, that's great. But I
love being here. I haven't been here for a couple weeks just because
I know you've had a lot
personal health issues in my family.
Well, you've been missed.
Yeah, but
and then also like you've done a lot of live broadcasting, and it just adds a really cool element to the busyness here, and people are interested. And this is why I interned at radio. Like I love human curated radio. This is also why I love playlists, like to put songs together, playlists together, and express yourself through the art of somebody else is a really cool and creative outlet, and I love it. Upstairs here, we have a lot of potential. We have our conference room and 2 offices and a bathroom. So I have dreams of like knocking down walls up here when I get more money. And then having like a cool, like actual elevated, like recording studio here where we have you like surrounded by glass and you. Just
with the on-air sign that actually lights up.
That actually lights up, not just a box.
Well, it's funny because I've told people this. One of the things that kind of started getting my wheels turning about this whole idea was the old like 90s television show Northern Exposure, where it was a guy who was a radio DJ, like downtown of small town Alaska, surrounded by windows, and people would just walk by and see him do that. And I've always, since then, I was like, man, if I could just like have a space in a coffee shop. And here we've kind of been able to work this out in such a cool symbiotic way. And I'm hoping to do a lot more once it starts to warm up, live broadcasts out front and different things like that. And more opportunities. We were doing song requests for donations and more opportunities to give back, because again, you're someone that I think our visions align with, not just doing a business to make profit for ourselves, but also to help give back to the community, strengthen the people that are around us to help lift us up as well. Yeah,
and awareness too. I mean, there's nothing more powerful than a mic.
Yeah.
Maybe social media, I guess.
An influencer. Maybe
that's our goal.
Yeah.
Influencer status.
Yeah. We need Dave to start becoming an influencer.
Hardly. I'm the furthest thing from an influencer. You do not want to be influenced by me.
Yeah. Maybe get your college age daughter to teach us what to do.
Oh, the kids will tell me more than I know.
Yeah. Well, Steph, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you, and I really have enjoyed the opportunity to kind of highlight what you've done here, just because you've supported me so much in what I've been doing, and just love what you do here, from all of the events to, I mean, your staff is incredible, like just everything that is this Dusky Grouse community. I give you such huge kudos for what you've done here, and look forward to continuing to be a part of it. Yeah, thank you. And thank you for the opportunity to have you here. I know you said you have a lot of gratitude towards me. Well, it goes both ways. Yeah. It's been super fun to be given a platform and to play what I want to play on air and just having you here. So thank you. Yeah, my favorite, just quickly as we're wrapping up, one of my favorites was when you first started doing some playlists for me. You then turned it on at 7:00 in the morning, and you realized, like, well, maybe this isn't the best for a 7 a.m. coffee shop. It was like hardcore hip hop. I shouldn't have made my playlist at 8. Yeah, totally. Wired, about it. You could tell what I was going through. But hopefully more of that to come. Steph Traylor, just another common folk in the boat. Thank you. Yeah, thank you.